Netflix's most watched film of all time.
Kids want new content.
It reminds me a bit of Buffy. High schooler by day, killing vampires by night.
Hannah Montana kind of vibe. Hey guys, this is Cut to the Take with the Media Couple.
And today we're going to be breaking down K-pop Demon Hunters. So stick around. K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it is very, very fun.
It's definitely a little bit different.
Definitely. Not what I was expecting at all.
Not what we would normally watch either.
No way. But we had to watch it because it became Netflix's most watched film of all time with a staggering 236 million views. I mean, what?
I think this probably took everybody by surprise. The producers, Netflix, Sony, who made it. I don't think anybody really anticipated K-pop Demon Hunters to be quite so stratospheric in the way that it is. But I feel like I kind of understand why.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it's really interesting. I do find it funny because I can just imagine it just growing and growing and growing and everybody being like, what's going on?
Why is this happening? Yeah.
But good on them. But I mean, of course, it would make sense, wouldn't it? You've got K-pop, which is, it's got a hugely dedicated fan base.
Definitely over the last 5 years as well, like in the Western world, it's become so massive, hasn't it?
Exactly.
With those bands like BTS and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a phenomenon, isn't it?
Blackpink, BTS, all of that. And then you add in like the anime style and then you basically make it like this sort of Frozen sisterhood kind of situation.
Well, that's what I mean. I was actually going to bring up the parallel to Frozen is insane, I think, you know, because equally a global phenomenon that saw massive success at the time. And I'm just wondering, is there something like in that, like, you've touched on already, like, well, we've got K-pop, we've got anime, the collaboration. So we've already got built-in fan bases there on a global scale. Yeah. But then is there something in like the stories that they're, the stories around them with strong female leads that has something in that?
I mean, yes, of course. I think strong female leads, of course, are always going to bring in, I mean, not that Hollywood necessarily always agrees, but,
not always
agrees. But, I think strong female leads definitely have, they work. But I think what works about this one more specifically is in the era of constant perpetual remakes and so much content that is aimed at kids that is basically works for adults because adults want nostalgia-based content, but kids want new content.
Of course.
So, with the Pixar, Disney, Illumination, all remaking. I mean, I think we're on Despicable Me 5.
5 now, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they are making this kind of content and the same IP, reusing the same IP again and again and again. And I understand to a certain extent why, but kids crave content that is new, that is original. And I think that's what K-pop Demon Hunters has done. Yeah. It's taken really cleverly, K-pop, which is popular.
It's got an enormous fan base already.
Anime, which is obviously a style that loads of people love.
Absolutely.
And then you bring it into almost like this Hannah Montana kind of vibe.
Yeah. It feels very much like a modern Hannah Montana or Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and aim it at sort of young adults,
Teenagers,
children, sort of. It makes sense. I understand why it's done so well.
Yeah.
But I also understand why you wouldn't think it would do that well either. Yeah. Or at least not quite
as well as it has done. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, I think the success it's found as well is because, I mean, even some of the tracks from the film have gone global.
Really
like
good.
It's astounding because it's like, you look at musicals and, songs from films that become famous, they don't always quite have the successes these tracks have.
No, and I think that's really interesting as well because I think it was something like at one point 9 of the songs from this series
were in the
Billboard Top 100.
Yeah.
9. Mm-hmm. That is really saying something. But it's funny because when we were talking about it with some of our friends, they were like, you just have to watch it for the first song. Listen to the first song. And they were right. The first song is, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, this is kind of like everything else that I've seen, in sort of the anime world. Yeah. And then all of a sudden this song comes in and you're like, oh.
And it's a tune.
And it's good. It's a good song. I think you combine both of those things, genius, K-pop and anime. Well, yeah, of course.
It's kind of a win-win. I almost feel like I've seen written that like critics have said this film almost feels like it was made for globalization.
Yeah, it was.
Which is something that I think sometimes, like, you know, those Disney classics and prequels and sequels and stuff, they're trying to make it for globalization, but it's actually like a nostalgia overload where we're getting a bit sick of it sometimes.
Yeah.
The same story, but making something one-off that is so globally marketable. It's like what you said, take anime, take K-pop, put it on one of the biggest streaming platform in the world. You're gonna, you know, hopefully you're gonna have a lot of success, which it did have.
I do think it is interesting though how it's obviously used K-pop and, you know, anime, and Korea didn't put a penny into that film.
Yeah, it's interesting. It
was a Western produced, Netflix and Sony produced film.
So financially, the Korean film market didn't actually put any money behind it.
No.
Wow. Okay.
So it's interesting how essentially Hollywood are now going, okay, let's put some money into making content that essentially culturally appropriates Korean, the Korean film industry.
Yeah.
I just think it's very interesting how there was no money from Korea, the Korean film industry, put into.
Considering this, the amount of success the Korean film industry has had lately.
And how this borrows so much from the Korean film industry.
Of course, yeah.
And how it's now making, you know, it's made the most money for Netflix.
Yeah, and been their most watched film ever.
And it's basically using all of the Korean film industry's, you know,
style. Artistry. Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting.
There's definitely some stuff to unpack there, but maybe not on this podcast.
No, maybe in a further podcast. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, I mean, I did also want to touch on, like, you know how you brought up earlier about Hannah Montana, that sort of vibe. It reminds me a bit of Buffy.
Yeah.
Do you remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd really get that vibe from it. Like, sort of like, you know, this cool girl who's like, you know, high schooler by day, killing vampires by night. It's got like an edginess to it, which I think nowadays, like, younger audiences want something a bit edgier.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, totally. I think there's always been that appetite. You know, I think about Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Right, which was my era.
Yeah.
You know, and Kim Possible, and she was, but that was all very westernized. That was Western animation, Western, you know, she was American, going to an American school. So I think what's clever about this, about K-pop Demon Hunters, was that it's not set, it's not American.
Yeah.
And I think that is also lends to why it's been so popular, is that I think we kind of had a lot of American style content, you know, that's come out of Hollywood. Naturally, it makes sense, but audiences also want something that differentiates it. You know, what makes this different? This one wasn't American, and so it lends itself to being more of a globalized, you know, product. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I can understand, you know, A plus B equals C. I do kind of, you know, I get how we got there. And I think, oh God, we're just going to end up with like spin-off and sequel. And
that leads me on to a question. I have a few questions for you around it. The first one, I kind of feel like you may have touched on already, but why do you think Sony underestimated K-pop Demon Hunters?
Well, I mean, I can understand how they didn't necessarily. I don't think anybody's really done this before.
Well, I'm just saying, because, you know, Sony, like, they make the Spider-Verse films, you know, Into the Spider-Verse, which won an Oscar for them. You know, historically, they are quite good. They are quite good at animation, you know. So I'm just curious at why they thought this isn't going to work for us.
Well, I think, to be quite frank, it's because it wasn't an American comic.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's a Korean K-pop. Is Korean.
Yeah, at the forefront of it,
It's anime, right?
Yeah, of course. Which is hit and miss sometimes.
Which has a great base, but doesn't always...
not to everyone's taste.
Exactly, and doesn't always pop out and, you know, be the front runner that K-pop Demon Hunters has become.
True, yeah.
I don't think they necessarily... You know, they obviously put money behind it, they bought it and so on. I don't think it necessarily was that they... didn't think it would make any money. I don't think they anticipated that it would do quite as well.
I just keep thinking of some exec being like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Like, just being like, because I agree with you. I honestly think I'm looking for an answer somewhere, and I genuinely think they thought, it's not going to do that well.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It's just like an animated film we have on our roster.
Exactly. And I think this show, this series, is going to really shift how a lot of executives are now looking at K-pop and anime.
Yeah.
And we are now going to end up with an
abundance
of K-pop and anime content that's going to come out.
You walk into the pitch meeting, we've got K-pop. They're like, right, sign.
Exactly.
Here's the money.
Exactly.
Done.
So, we've got that to look forward to for the next 10 years.
Can't wait for that.
And
and then we'll come back to the podcast in 10
K-pop Demon Hunters 12 will be out and we'll be going, what's the new latest thing? And it will be anything but.
They hunted demons again.
Yeah, I know. They'll do it to death because obviously it's worked, which I get. You would, of course. But that's all we've got to look forward to.
You know that's coming. Okay, and my last question. Do you think, well, I guess you kind of just answered it then. Do you think there'll be any sequels?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because we can't just, don't you find that we talked about this on the podcast before, but why can't we just make one film?
Because it's a business.
And be proud. I know, but why can't, like, in the 90s and thousands, I felt like you could make one-off films, especially kids' films. You could make one good film and be like, that was great.
Toy Story.
No, I agree. Yeah, but I mean, that's one that's been done a lot. But,
But Demon Hunters...
Think about The Land Before Time.
Right, I don't even... Yeah.
Oh, there might have been a sequel to that one.
No, but right. The Land Before Time was not the highest grossing film.
That's true.
When it came out.
I guess I'm saying...
Right, this is the highest watched, I think you said, or whatever.
The most watched film in Netflix history.
This is the most watched series in Netflix history. Of course they're going to make this into like sequels.
Yeah.
It's a business at the end of the day. Now, creatively, is it going to be as successful? I think by the time they get to version 10, probably not. 12, probably not. I think there's only so far you can go, but I imagine they will have a fair amount of success. It's, similar Avengers,
Yeah, true. Eventually people get like tired of it and it goes back into that
but there's so much money to be made now.
Yeah, there's a lot to extract from it still.
Of course we're going to see.
Of course.
So everybody's got that to look forward to on their Netflix.
Absolutely. Keep an eye out for K-pop Demon Hunters 12.
That's what our kids will be watching.
Absolutely. It's not over for us. This is just the start.
This is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Exactly. Thanks, guys, for watching Cut to the Take. If you did enjoy this, make sure to click on the other videos in the playlist. And if you do want to watch the full episode, you can go and find that on our channel now. Please do like, subscribe, leave a comment below. It really does help if you enjoyed. And we will see you again soon.